Star Wars Visions is going to be an exciting anime anthology series.
スター・ウォーズでこれやっていいのかっていう、なんか
本当に最後はスター・ウォーズあれば、本望だったなとは思います。
Long ago, a great warrior came to this village.
I accept this responsibility.
Welcome back. You heard it up top. It is Normies Like Us, and we're going to be talking Star Wars Visions. Only today, I'm flying solo as far as the Normies. This is Mike, joined by a very special guest and longtime friend of the show.
Adam Antilles back at it. Do I get to keep my Star Wars name?
Yeah, you can keep your Star Wars name. I guess I should have picked one as well, like Mike Podcast 2 or something. But, you know. There's definitely better ones in there, but we're not going to restart. We're going to keep it rolling. Talking.
No, I'm sticking to that name all night. Mike Podcast 2.
That's right.
3 of my favorite hosts are missing tonight.
I know, it's crazy. There's been a disturbance in the Force, I guess. I know personally, a lot of people are excited to talk about this, but there's some conflicts of schedules, and you know, even the other half of Cargo Bay was going to join, so. It's as if a million voices cried out all at once, and then we're suddenly silenced.
It's true. There's dark side energy at play here. That's the co-host of the Cargo Bay, BC Ness, also thwarted by the dark side, but not for long. These champions will return.
That's right. These champions will return because no matter how dark, there's always a light, and I think one of those lights in the world of Star Wars media as of late, I would say, is Star Wars Visions, the anthology series, now available on Disney+. Pay your money and go watch it, because it's actually pretty good, I think. I mean, before we get into each episode, how did you feel kind of diving back into the Star Wars Visions, and what were your thoughts on the project kind of when it was announced?
Well, I'm here to be the antagonist. I hated it. No, I'm joking. I was excited when I heard about it, because... something I regret saying on this podcast is I've compared Rise of Skywalker to an anime, and what I meant is that it had, you know, a huge scale and kind of, it didn't seem like there were big studio limitations on how broad it could be and kind of absurd. And I feel like that's kind of derogatory toward anime. The anime that I consume, I really like. I'm just pretty selective about it. So I was really stoked when this was announced. I just wondered how much oversight Disney was going to have, right? I was worried that it might be stifled. But I was like, if Disney is actually just giving some money to animation studios, that's awesome. And it kind of seems like that's what happened for the most part.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that's what happened. And we'll get into that in more detail. And personally, when I first found out about the project, I was really excited, and a couple weeks ago we did a Matrix episode. We kind of touched on the Animatrix, which is a similar sort of anime anthology series, taking a larger world and letting the anime artists kind of go crazy in there. And that's what we've got here. And, you know, I like anime a lot, but really I'm more of a international film person, and I've been a big Kurosawa fan, you know, most of my teenage and adult life. You know, I have the Hidden Fortress Criterion collection right here, which we'll get comparisons to. So I really like the idea of, it's kind of well known that Star Wars originally was based on the hero's journey and Joseph Campbell, and also a lot of Kurosawa, specifically the Hidden Fortress. So to kind of take that and then throw it back to Japan and say, show me what you got, essentially, and what's your spin on this kind of universe that was at least partially inspired by art that was created, you know, in your nation, and let's see what happens. And I think it was a match made in heaven.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, obviously there's some stuff that I didn't love, you know, and in how many episodes are there? Nine episodes? There were a few things that I didn't love.
Movies of Star Wars films.
Oh, that makes sense. Well, there are some mainline Star Wars movies. Well, they rhyme in some ways I can think of precisely. But what I was going to say is I really liked, you know, or I guess what I was going to say is I didn't think that anything was a misstep while watching this. I just kind of let it, all hit me, and I didn't really have any negative judgment about most of it. Even if some things weren't for me, I wasn't like, well, they should have done this. I was like, no, they should just do whatever they want. This is great.
That's what this is for, yeah.
Yeah, and I really liked, speaking of kind of taking things back where they came from, I loved when lightsabers were just straight up light katanas in places where it's like, yeah, the lightsabers are katanas, man. Like, yeah. we're not gonna like tiptoe around it. This was taken from us. Like, yeah, we can make lightsaber katanas and it's fine.
A samurai and a Jedi are not so dissimilar, right?
Right.
The Bushido code and the way of the Jedi, right? That kind of stuff. So it's like, yeah, this is kind of ours. And, the Darksaber kind of looked like a traditional sword blade. So it's not the first time we're seeing it. But I do like the creative direction they take in a lot of these. Last thing I want to ask you, Star Wars, really, before we jump into these episodes. We like Star Wars a lot, Adam, and we had a tournament. Didn't win the tournament, but we do Star Wars Squadrons. We had a big event. So it's been all Star Wars all weekend for us. And just wanted to mention that. But overall, Junk Squadron, mentioned a few times on the show. I think we put in a good fight,
At Junk Squadron, our aim was always to be like mediocre players who maybe threw some upsets. Like, I think that was kind of my goal when we started. It was like, well, maybe occasionally we'll get some hype from screwing things up. Mm-hmm. And this is now, so we played in Cadet Cup 4. This is now the second tournament in a row where Junk Squadron has gone undefeated and tied our way out of the tournament, only to have been the only team to tie with the championship team in the tournament. So the bracket didn't treat us well, but I don't know. I think we're great pilots, each and every one of us, and I think we did okay.
I think we did okay, and yeah, undefeated. No team has beaten us in back-to-back games, and only the winners have, we were the only ones who took a game off them. So good job for Junk Squadron, but it has been a Star Wars weekend for me and Adam, and we are ready to jump into these episodes. We're going to set it into blocks of 3. We got 9 of them, so we'll do the prequels, the original trilogy, and the sequel trilogy, I guess. So I won't break it down. So right after this, we'll get into the first batch of 3 of Star Wars Visions on Normies Like Us.
Long ago, a great warrior came to this village and entrusted our ancestors with this. Its power and responsibility now lie with you.
Welcome back. It's Normies Like Us. It's Star Wars Visions, and we're about to take our first look at the first 3 of these shorts, these anthologies. They're each about 20 minutes in this series, so somewhere in there. So the first 3 we're going to talk about are the Duel, which was done by Kamikaze Doga, mostly known for their JoJo's Bizarre Adventure opening animations, like half 3D, half 2D. That's kind of their style. You see that here. We have Tatooine Rhapsody by Studio Colorido, which I don't know too much about them, but they do work with Twin Engine, who also works with Geno Studio, who does Lop and Ocho later on in the show. So maybe there's kind of an umbrella corporation, not in a Resident Evil sense, but working together. Then we have the Twins, which is done by Trigger, famous for Kill la Kill, most popularly, and those are going to be our first 3. So let's start here at the very beginning, the Duel. Kind of a Yojimbo throwback. It's got a samurai story, right? Adam, what do you think about the Duel as a way to open this whole anthology?
I mean, what a way to open. I think Disney knew what they were doing, kind of throwing this one at the front. And also, you got an R2 unit and a straw hat. Like, I can't remember if that's in the opening sequence or not, but it's kind of like, here's the tone. Here's the tone. We're going to do some, like, samurai stuff with a little bit of Star Wars underneath, almost.
Yeah.
And, I mean, overall, I loved it. Big fan.
So, for me, my favorite Kurosawa movie is Yojimbo. And it's Toshiro Mifune. He is the nameless Ronin. And this character is just called Ronin. He generally shows up at the village, solves the problem, and gets out. So we're getting that template, but even the opening title card with the Galactic Basic over the landscape, like that is a recreation of the Yojimbo opening title card. So like heavily,
okay.
like
I didn't remember that, but that's awesome.
So heavily kind of throwing back to that, and we get, in my opinion, some of the coolest lightsaber ideas. You know, we got memes, let's say, of Kylo Ren when his lightsaber came out and people put 15 blades on it. We actually do get like a 15-bladed lightsaber here, but it kind of works with this umbrella action. So any thoughts on the way the lightsabers are portrayed? There's a big battle, obviously. It's a Ronin, so.
I loved it. Just kind of specifically immediately letting the audience for this show know, like, hey, we got some freedom here to do what we want. Like, you've never seen anything like this before. I thought it was super cool when that character comes out. I can't remember her name.
But it's like our Sith, our antagonist for this short, yeah.
Yeah. I was just like, I love the vibe of this character 1000%. And I'm a classic single-bladed lightsaber guy. I love when the antagonist has like some crazy sabers and our hero is just rocking the standard.
Yeah. What I like about this kind of umbrella lightsaber too is it introduces the idea that it's not like 10 lightsabers all attached to create this umbrella. It's like she sticks a normal lightsaber into an apparatus that will then diffuse the blade into multiple directions, which I just like that idea, and I've never seen that before. And even the way our hero pulls his lightsaber out, it's like from a sheath. Like, I don't know how you do that. There's like an arc wave happening, whatever, but like just interesting stuff, you know, obviously very samurai inspired, and our hero just having the single blade. The twist in this, however, we meet our hero, and we assume he's a roaming Jedi who goes and rights wrongs and stops the Sith. However, at the moment of the reveal, when he pulls out his lightsaber to do combat, he has a red lightsaber, which is a kind of a shocking twist. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it was a great setup, and eventually a great payoff of like, is this guy even a good guy? Is he who knows what he's gonna do? And that's kind of the vibe you get from Yojimbo too. You know, like, this guy is he's a Ronin. And I thought it served its purpose really well. And I also, you know, that, like you said, the diffusion of the lightsaber crystal is really cool. We get a lot of like play in the future with like lightsaber types. And that's something that the expanded universe has always been more interesting with, is like, oh man, maybe you can make your lightsaber longer and it's a little weaker. Or maybe, you know, like Plo Koon used to have an orange lightsaber before, you know, that didn't show up well on camera.
Now Rey does again, but yes.
Yeah. Well, I think Rey's is yellow compared to
he had
Plo's.
the orange.
Orange, yeah. His was bright orange. I think there's I guess Jedi Power Battle.
I was going to say, that's what I remember it from, was Jedi Power Battles. I always like that. But yeah, interesting stuff with the lightsabers. Thematically, there's a lot interesting going on here. I want to ask you, where do you think this was most inspired by? Are we thinking, is it a prequel trilogy inspired thing, an original trilogy inspired thing, or a sequel trilogy inspired thing? Obviously, the samurai references are very direct and on the head, but from the Star Wars side, what do you think they were pulling from most heavily, in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, if they were drawing from a specific era, like you obviously have like Galactic Empire troopers, to me this feels like a post-Return of the Jedi, like kind of in-between phase, except you got the Sith in here. So I don't know, it's confusing.
Right.
It is like thinking of a lot of Sith, this is thousands of years ago, you know, perhaps. This is like Knights of the Old Republic, before Knights of the Old Republic, at least in my mind. But as far as like thematically what they're drawing from, I don't know. I think this one kind of stands outside of the lore a little bit because it's not really playing on balance so much, you know?
Well, let me put on my over-analysis film school goggles, right?
Please do.
So I consider this heavily based on the prequel era, specifically Revenge of the Sith, where we have two light side Jedi fighting on a river of lava, where here we have two dark side Jedi fighting on a water river. And then
I like it.
Whereas one tries to overestimate, don't try it, and gets cut down, the other, our hero in this one, uses a decoy second lightsaber to trick and use an underhanded tactic to take out his adversary, showing it's not as pure as a Jedi, but it's like the mirror. It rhymes with the Revenge of the Sith final battle.
That's rhyme number one. That's the first bar in this, Star Wars verse.
16 off the dome. So, yeah, we find out this guy is not a Jedi and collecting kyber crystals from other Sith. He's feeling maybe remorseful for his past, and it's just an interesting character. And it's like, well, there you go, Star Wars Visions. I think you've done something good here.
Yeah, what a great reveal when he reveals all those crystals, and it's just like an immediate, you understand what has happened, and it's a great moment.
Yeah, and
also,
yeah, he had 2 lightsabers. Like he's been doing this for a while. Very cool.
Yeah, he's got that little, what do you call it, a Tonto blade, the smaller blade that he pulls out.
You know, it's like this is thematically doing it right.
It's like if Batman killed the Joker. You know, it's
yeah.
like, all right, moral code. I don't know, just kill some Sith.
He's not a Jedi, right? Just get it done, whatever it costs. And I think they Kamikaze Doga definitely got it done here. Interesting art style with the 3D. The action is really, really well done too. Character design, it's awesome. The Trandoshan, and shout out to the Dug and a robot.
Yeah, and I mean to have such a striking visual style and it be, you know, interesting enough that that's still what you choose to lead your series off with. You know, I think obviously like a full color episode might have been, you know, what Disney would have wanted to put on that marquee, but no, this was fantastic.
Even something more traditionally 2D animated, you know, you would think that might be the way to go. But that is something we get next. We do get a more cartoonish, regular animation style with Tatooine Rhapsody by Studio Colorido. Like I said, they kind of work with Twin Engine. Not too familiar with their body of work, but this is more of a genre piece, I guess. Are you familiar, like, with kind of the banned genre of content in Japan?
The closest I've come to anything like that is watching Kids on the Slopes, which is, you know, an anime. I don't remember the studio, but it's from the Cowboy Bebop studio, I believe, or same director, and it's about like kids in a jazz band in high school, and it's amazing. I was like, what do you mean I'm going to watch a jazz band play live, but it's anime? That doesn't sound cool at all. No, it was great, but that's my only exposure. Gotcha,
because this to me feels like there's a whole genre of this. There's a popular manga called Nana that's about a rock band. There's, you know, Linda Linda is a movie about, there's a lot of rock band or, you know, high school band. It's almost like the sports movie genre where it's about like the ragtag group. It's about friendship and bonding, and then, you know, doing the big show and coming together because power of friendship, right? So it is like an interesting idea where this is kind of a band movie set in the Star Wars universe, which is very different than the first thing we got. What do you think about Tatooine Rhapsody? We're in a familiar setting and a familiar placement, at least.
Well, let me just say that initially looking at the episode title and kind of the art style, I was like, this one's not going to be for me. Like, I do not like musicals. I'm not sure what exactly, if there's like a subgenre of anime that this style belongs to. I in my miseducation, am saying that the characters look kind of like chibi. You know, they got the shorthand head.
Yeah, kind of exaggerated, big head, yeah.
But when I got into it, the animation was so beautiful. I thought it looked amazing, and really I just kind of enjoyed it. Aside from the English version of the song, I was not a big fan of. There's a big, you know, finale song. I listened to it in Japanese, liked it a lot more. But yeah, overall, I had a great time. I put it in my top 6 episodes for the series.
I'll get to the ranking. That's one thing I did want to mention, by the way. I watched this twice, and I've watched it in all Japanese and all in English every episode. So I kind of have a preference for each episode. And the first 2, the Duel and Tatooine Rhapsody, I definitely say Japanese is the preferred because the song is just a lot better. Joseph Gordon-Levitt tried, but the mix is weird. It's like, you know, it wasn't written to be in English exactly, so...
I appreciate that he did kind of an unconventional like voice in the song. I just, you know, it's hard to match those lyrics in English. It's really, you know, it's a little saccharine.
Yeah. This is probably, we get a little bit of lightsaber in the beginning. We learn that this singer of the band was a Jedi who was escaped and fell through the roof of this Hut, this nephew of Jabba or something, who was in a band, and he joins the band, and his lightsaber's broken, but he uses it as a microphone stand-in. So, you know, interesting stuff. Not a lot of, there's no real sword fighting in this. It is really a band thing. And the best thing about it, though, the I guess inciting incident is the bassist, the Hutt who brings him in, is wanted by Jabba, and little Boba Fett shows up to take him in, and they gotta get him out somehow. What do you think of little Boba Fett? This is probably the best thing about the English language version.
Absolutely. The most tickled I was, actually the second most enjoyable moment was when that voice reveal, and it all hit me of like, oh, Disney has money and Disney has access to Tamura to actually be Boba Fett, and seeing big-headed, cute little Boba Fett get the same voice as, like, you know, badass Boba Fett really was it was a joy. It really cracked me up.
Yeah, and there's something about like this cartoonized version. Like, I'm imagining that Boba Fett probably did just roll up into a rock venue and arrest the bassist, because like I don't care if you're playing a show. Like, I'm a bounty hunter. You're out of here, dude.
Yeah, time to take you away.
Yeah, so it was really cute in his presentation, but I could see him just doing that, just rolling up to the modal nodes and being like, "You're coming with me."
Yeah, R.I.P. modal nodes. Boba took him away.
Yeah, Boba got it. But they try to break him out of jail basically by saying, "Let us play a concert at the pod racing event before you execute him." And then, you know, they win over the crowd and they get sponsored. It's a cute little story, but I don't know what more analysis there is. It's just a cute kind of band movie, but definitely influenced by the prequels based on where the Tatooine pod races.
Yeah, and this is the most Star Wars one, I would say, right? Like, this relies more heavily on the Star Wars universe than any of the others. More
heavily on things we're familiar with and iconography that we're used to. Correct. Yeah, that's 100% true. So, yeah, you get something very Japanese inspired, then something very Star Wars. And then I guess we get to the third one, which I think is a really interesting one. The Twins by Trigger, again, Kill la Kill. They're known for kind of stylized action and very interesting stuff. We have two twins, dark side twins. They're supposed to be a conduit in their dark armor to shoot like a giant space laser coming out of two Star Destroyers that are also thematically conjoined together like twins.
Yeah.
And the sister is more about it than the brother is, and conflict ensues. What do we think about the twins?
I will say I love the first 5 minutes of this one. I really like this, like, kind of the striking visual style, especially, you know, with all the Imperial iconography. The sister, who's got kind of a female Darth Vader, like, I guess not feminine, and there's nothing feminine about it. It's super sharp angles and maybe, like, you know, a very slender helmet. I just thought it was all cool. The English voice actor playing her, I think, is fantastic. But yeah, I liked this one less than some of the others, maybe, but probably just because of the theme. You know, we'll talk about that in just a second. But, you know, it was a good time.
So for me, I really like this one a lot. And I would say it's also the one I would consider the most firmly influenced by the sequel trilogies. And we can talk about that too.
Absolutely.
But even as we meet these characters, and it looks like they were engineered to be the perfect conduit for dark side energy. So like we get the cloning and dark secrets only the Sith knew. You know, we're getting that kind of stuff. But it's also like they're an inverse, the rhyme of a Luke and Leia, but made for the dark side. And, you know, we're getting kind of inverses to some of that sequel trilogy stuff, too. Like Kylo wants Rey to join him, except this time, you know, Kylo's the good guy and Rey's the bad guy, kind of. So they're dealing with that stuff. What do you think about kind of the sequel trilogy influence on this one?
Yeah, 100%. You know, this was taken from the dyad in the Force, which, you know, I mean, that is part of Star Wars lore now, so I got to swallow that pill. But I really thought it made sense as a concept. Like, I saw where it was going, and I liked it, and I liked the characters. It was just a lot to digest in 20 minutes, you know, especially when a big portion of that is a fight sequence. Yeah. Which was cool. I just, you know, I was a little disinterested once I realized we weren't going to get much more like development of that storyline. It was like, okay, now we're going to duke it out.
Yeah, you get a little bit of the brother has a force vision where he sees the road she's going down and he wants to save her, which is, we'll see this theme a lot too, wanting to save the people important to you comes up a lot.
Right.
We're keying in on what these Japanese studios really find compelling about the Star Wars universe, lightsabers and personal relationships more than
and
spaceships.
freezing laser bolts.
And freezing laser bolts. We get this is the first time we see that, or did we see that in the Duel?
I think we might have seen it in the Duel. It's all over the place.
Yeah, they stopped the stun rays in this, which was the first. But yeah, I think the battle was actually really cool. I'm not one for like lightsaber whips, but this thing is so stylized. They're like breathing in space without helmets. You just kind of let it go.
Yeah, I liked her suit with all the lightsaber tendrils. Actually, I thought it was cool.
Because the suit is a piece of technology that channels dark force energy. So like maybe she can just bend these light tendrils, like, because she's so powerful. It's like, yeah, I'll buy it. So interesting stuff. They do the Holdo maneuver with the hero standing on the X-Wing outside of it and using the engine to make his lightsaber blade bigger. And they just floor it and cut the old Star Destroyer in half. I love that, as ridiculous as it was.
I like that. That's a better way to get that image than the actual Holdo maneuver, in my opinion. I think I'll accept that more than I will the Holdo.
And maybe, I mean, this could go a lot of ways, but maybe the most anime thing in all 9 of these is that moment. I'm not sure. But
yeah, we should try to pick one before
that's one that I'll throw out as a nominee for now. But anything else to say on the twins before we take a break and talk the next batch of 3?
Just that it was funny that it's like, okay, this guy's a good guy. Let's really prove it. Here's an X-Wing.
Yeah, that's true. And an R2
right.
unit. It was a sort of R2 unit. It was modified.
Just hanging out. I guess they captured it.
Yeah. It's like, can I get one of these for my birthday? That's true. I wonder why he had that. But yeah, 3 strong, very different episodes to open this thing up. Let's see what the middle act of Star Wars Visions has to offer. Coming up next.
You've been guided by the Force since you were born.
At last, the moment arrives.
It's the first time I've confronted such darkness. Something ancient and sinister.
We're back. We're talking Star Wars Visions. We broke down the first 3. Now we're talking the second group of 3 in this series of 9, just like the main Star Wars movies. The first in this block is The Village Bride, done by Kinema Citrus. I am not too familiar with this studio or their work. I think they did some more kind of feature-length animations, not so much television shows, but don't quote me. Then we have The Ninth Jedi, which is obviously reference to the Seventh Samurai. The Japanese title is very similar to Shichinin no Samurai, blah, 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 no Jedi. And then we have TOB1 from Science Saru. Again, a studio I'm not too familiar with. And Production IG, by the way, sorry, The Ninth Jedi is Production IG. And they're kind of known for more TV shows and things like that. But yeah, we got this group of 3 here. Start with The Village Bride. It's a weird one, right? In my opinion, I think it's a weird one. You kind of want to explain plot roughly, or what is this whole thing?
So, as I understand it, the plot is there is a criminal syndicate of some kind that has resurrected a battle droid army in order to control this village, and they've just stripped resources out, and part of what they come to take is the daughter of the chief of the town, I believe, and her to-be-wed husband. And so they know they have to make this sacrifice, and there is a Jedi Padawan, I believe, there who sees this going on and is upset by it and stops it.
Yeah.
That's pretty much the plot, right?
That's pretty much it. The way I was looking at this, and let's see if you agree, I definitely, obviously the battle droids, I slot this into a prequel influenced work. Padawan with Braid. I think we're in a kind of a post-Order 66 world because she does seem to be in hiding.
Exactly,
So, because they're saying, oh, the Empire won't find you here. So she seems to be in hiding, sees something that she doesn't agree with and tries to make it right. Another kind of Yojimbo, reference, comes into the town, likes the locals and tries to help them out. So, I kind of like... was a little bored by this one at times. Not to say it's bad, but it definitely didn't hook me the same way in the first maybe 2/3. The ending of it is some action, you know, but carrying the bride. Action,
but it's pretty stiff action at the end. After such a long kind of like really focusing on these characters and kind of really a subtle, you know, struggle here that's happening.
Yeah.
It then has a brief action sequence that's pretty stiff, you know. There's not a lot of fluid action, which was a little disappointing after the build-up. But I mean, the animation is pretty. It definitely takes things in a different direction than most. It almost uses Star Wars just as a backdrop, which I can appreciate.
Yeah, and there was something with the way they were kind of honoring nature. It's like the Force almost. I can't remember what they were calling it, but like the Megara. Like, do you feel it too? They had a different word for the Force, but they still kind of were communing with it. This group. So I like that they're kind of building on the Force lore and other cultures having different names for it. And I guess new Star Wars stuff is now we have a light side user with a mask on, because it appears that maybe her master was killed in Order 66. That's me guessing. She survived and has to wear the mask, and she has the braid. And at one point, you know, Self cuts off the braid to graduate herself to Jedi, and even calls herself that as she kind of saves the villagers. Lightsaber is yellow, looks like a katana. What do we think? It has a little glow around the the hilt there.
A yellow ring up at the top of the hilt. Yeah, I mean, pretty lightsaber. It's cool to see it.
Yeah, but
I feel like this one, I really might have missed, you know, some of the poetry of this one just from English translation. You know, I could be wrong, but this seems to be one that's supposed to wash over you kind of in an emotional way. So I feel like that might be part of what I was missing. But I love the spaceship in it. I love the bad guy crew. It was a cool looking bad guy crew.
Was that like a Millennium Falcon similar model, but it had the module still in the nose?
Yeah, it looked like a YT, you know, something or other. Corellian built whatever. But yeah, it still had the chunk in the middle, and then on the side had like what looked like a giant missile bay or something. I think that might be a ship that exists elsewhere in the canon.
I would imagine a lot of these ships, they probably got CG models and stuff sent over from Disney, you know, hooked them up with it too if they wanted them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, little stuff, like you said, it's pretty good in Japanese. This one I do like in Japanese, and her companion has that metal mask, and that looks just kind of like the weaved basket kind of monk attire from traditional Japanese culture. So it's like it's definitely leaning on that kind of bygone era of stuff, and I think definitely watch this one in Japanese. The next one up, though, number 5 on our list, but the Ninth Jedi, again, production IG. This one we got, there's a guy who's trying to resurrect the Jedi. He hires a sabersmith to make a bunch of lightsabers to outfit them because they are really hard to come by at this point in time. And then there's also a group trying to hunt down all Jedi and anybody helping them, which puts our sabersmith in danger, which means it's up to his daughter to deliver the lightsabers safely to the hopefully resurrecting Jedi forces. What do we think of the Ninth Jedi?
This is one of the ones that I enjoyed more, especially from, you know, like kind of just a plot aspect, you know, is interesting. They give you the misdirect of the Jedi looks like he's probably a Sith, and it's probably a trap, and then the trap turns out to be that actually all the other Jedi are Sith, you know, sent, or you know, at least bad guys who were sent to intercept the Jedi and the lightsabers.
Yeah, they're kind of playing the part of Jedi. They look very virtuous. Meanwhile, the guy who's trying to gather and rally the Jedi to his cause is in a big metal suit. He looks like kind of Darth Vader-esque, right? He looks like your traditional Sith. Meanwhile, the bad guys look like your traditional Jedi. So there's, you know, they're always kind of twisting something a different way, and I like that about this series. So that is pretty cool.
It's a cool looking crew too. It does what anime does, at least in my experience, really well sometimes, where it's kind of getting you built up to the fight where you're like, oh man, I can't wait to see that guy in the fight, and I can't wait to see what happens with this person in the fight.
Yeah.
And they also, you know, that they play with the lightsabers, and that this lightsaber smith builds lightsabers that respond to you, and their color is determined by your spirit, and even the shape and size of them. So they're even more mystical, and that makes the reveal when everyone turns on their red lightsabers very cool, where it's like, uh-oh, these aren't just like misbuilt lightsabers. These people are evil.
Yeah, it does throw a wrinkle in, like, a Jedi builds his lightsaber, and the way he tunes the crystal will determine its color. But I like that, who knows, in the future this guy could make a crystal that responds, at least color-wise, to someone's affinity with the Force, whether that's light or dark or somewhere in the middle. I think that's a cool idea, and it was set up in payoff because they want proof that the lightsabers exist, and this robot helper droid kind of presents them with one. And they pick it up, but no one had turned it on. But our hero, he grabs it and turns it on, and it's a blue blade. But had any of the others, you know, the jig would have been up. It's not until the daughter, who escapes an attack on her father, gives the lightsabers to them that they're all like, oh yeah, we're all Jedis, right? Psych. And they're just here to kill the one Jedi who did show up because he's so naive.
And then there's another one who calms down and helps the Jedi and realizes, and his lightsaber turns purple like a Windu because he's almost a bad guy.
Yeah, he's like an owl bear. Yeah, he's very cool. And then, you know, it's revealed that our guy was hiding in the robot suit the whole time. He jumps out. He's looking like Darth Vader, but he's actually a good guy. And then together with him and the young Jedi, they fight off kind of these Sith. And it's this whole thing where they're trying to resurrect the Jedi Order, but it's still a very dangerous time. So interesting story. I had a hard time placing this. It feels to me like this is like Rogue One. Like, is this like, I don't know, with like the killing of the father, like it feels like it's so desperate almost. So I have a hard time figuring out where this takes its influence. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's got to be post, Order 66, or just, I also got a vibe of this being thousands of years, more like Knights of the Old Republic or the Old Republic related, where it's like, wow, this could have been any, 100-year span where the Sith were killing out the Jedi, right?
Yeah, true.
So, I don't know. But I do kind of like that. I like when the episodes don't make a point, and almost none of them do, of identifying exactly where they are. Because it shouldn't matter. Star Wars should be big, and all of this makes Star Wars feel bigger rather than smaller, except for maybe the Tatooine Rhapsody.
True. And this one has, I think, a little bit of sequel trilogy because we have the Sabersmith's daughter, and she's got like a little robot pal, and then she's got a little speeder. So there's a little bit of influence there, and like there's a little bit of Duel of the Fates vibes when you have two Sith fighting one Jedi at moments, like near a big hole. But maybe that's like being a little too vague on it. But I'm just kind of looking at what probably they enjoyed about Star Wars, and I like the planet was like snowy and had trees. There's like a cool speeder section when she's flying through the trees in the snow. And it's like,
that was cool.
In Star Wars, your planet is either only a forest or only a snow. You don't get both, right?
Well, you do in Episode 7. There's one forest where Kylo and Rey fight.
Oh, you're right. Well, that's Starkiller Base. That's not a planet.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Not anymore, it's not.
It used to be Ilum, right? But, so yeah, interesting stuff here. A lot of Kyber crystals. This is the third Kyber crystal episode, because the Duel, the twins had the kyber crystal they were fighting over, and now this is very focused on kyber crystals. So kyber crystal maybe watch.
A good payoff though when she's got the kind of transparent blade, the daughter does, because she's not in tune with the Force, and then the moment it turns full color in the fight is a cool moment.
That's a great payoff when she actually earns not maybe the title of Jedi, but she's got that affinity and she's on the side of good now, and right.
I'll put that on top anime moments too. That felt very anime.
That is a very high level anime moment. Actually, there's one in the third section. Keep an eye out for that. I've been holding in my back pocket. But for now, let's talk the sixth of these. TOB1 Science Saru. Again, not too familiar with their work. Let us know in comments if you know more about their work. It seems like there's a little robot. Looks like Astro Boy. Very Astro Boy inspired here. He's got a professor who created him, and he's doing some type of science work. Meanwhile, the robot is always having dreams of being a Jedi, and he's just not supposed to go in the basement. At one point he does, which leads to unforeseen consequences for Toby and his creator slash master. What do you think about TOB1, Toby?
I was not expecting to enjoy this one that much, and this is one of my favorites. It's just really well animated. I remember an interview with the creator when they were hyping the series, and him, or the director, being like, I'm kind of going to make Star Wars Astro Boy. It's like, all right, let's see what it is. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was visually great, and also my favorite thing about it is thinking of Kyle Katarn, thinking of Jedi Fallen Order, Cal Kestis. These are both instances where we have, or Luke. These are instances where we have robots kind of guiding Jedi to become Jedi. Each of them, like, discovering a robot that was connected to a Jedi. And here, those memories of a Jedi Master aren't to transform some Jedi. They're to transform the robot himself, which was like, yeah, that's cool. Why wouldn't you try to build in, like, it almost seems like the creator built in this thousands-year journey, long for different memories to trigger in the robot's head. And like, kind of like a a Data coming of age, like becoming more human, becoming more like a Jedi. It was cool.
I never thought about that. Yeah, the creator, because he would do these upgrades, he probably built in, this series of, when he's ready, these things will unlock. Just like a real master Padawan would be like, I have a curriculum for you, and I'll slowly divulge that. But with code, you could, kind of have it on a system. Very cool.
Like when Data starts to dream.
Yes, yes. Just don't let him laugh. But so he goes into the basement and he discovers the secret that his master was hiding. It's a T-16 Skyhopper, right?
Fantastic.
Very awesome
A+.
Yeah.
Good to see one of those in action. Almost never do you get to see that. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool.
I love the T-16.
But he flips some switches and it causes a Sith or a dark side user to come down and kill his master, which is very unfortunate. And then he hides away until everything's okay. But after he comes out, he decides to complete the work of his master, whatever the science he was doing. It turns out they were trying to terraform the planet. And I think this is Tatooine. Am I wrong? Could I be right? Thousands of years in the future, right?
I mean, it's a T-16. It's sandy. Might as well be Tatooine.
I guess it could be Jakku.
It could be just another
sand planets.
Sand planet out there.
Yeah, I guess so. But the
I really
architecture was very domey.
Yeah. Although maybe that's just what colonists do, on desert planets. Maybe they're reading the same manual.
It's easy to just make a dome, yeah.
But I like that transition of time because it does feel like this is a robot. This might have been hundreds of years, right? Like, robots just working, and you don't really have a sense of like how long it's been.
Yeah, that's very cool. And then eventually the villain does return because he senses a disturbance in the Force. The robot gets a vision from his master, and there's a battle. There's a lightsaber battle. This robot has his own lightsaber, and there's a fight against the dark side user. When it's pretty good, actually. I was not expecting.
Yeah, it's a cool fight.
Crazy, yeah. And it starts to rain, so we're using weather like kind of in an emotional way too. Like the first rain on the planet, now he's in a battle, torrent of emotion.
Yeah, cool lightsaber. Just cool lightsaber hilts all around in this series. Get to see a lot of cool things.
Yeah, and I like the lore, like because he gets stabbed through the hand, and then the dark side user is surprised. Yeah, he gets his arm ripped off. But he has a fighting spirit. But he's like, a droid became a Jedi, and Toby's like, that's right, I'm a Jedi, don't underestimate me. It's a very kind of triumphant moment. But I like that he got his little buddy to become a jetpack to fly in. Like, that's also a very high-level anime moment from this series. So,
for sure.
So, shout-outs to TOB1. Anything else? Oh, yeah, also, it sounds like Obi-Wan if it was just OB1, so... I don't know if that's intentional.
I didn't even think about that.
I don't think it is, but this one's fine in English too. This is a good one to watch in English. So, but both are great. Anything else to say on this block of 3 before we get to the big finale?
No, let's get to the big finale.
Let's do it. Let's get to the big finale. We're about to pull the trigger. Because I'm the elder? I don't know. We'll get to it next. And Normie's like, oh.
We're going to be a proper family.
Let's make this our best show ever.
フォースと共にあらんこと。
Back. We're here to talk the final 3 shorts of Star Wars Visions. There's some good stuff in the back end here. There's good stuff in all the Vision stories. However, I think there's definitely not one is without merit, just some that you might like more than others, and everyone's going to have a different favorite. But for me, not that this is my stone cold favorite, but one I enjoyed very much. This block of 3, starting with The Elder, done again by Trigger, so they get their second one. We have Lop and Ocho by Geno Studio, another studio I don't know too much about, but they are also working with Twin Engine and some of them. And then we have Akakiri from Science Saru, the second one that they did. They also did TOB1. Again, not too familiar, but Akakiri means red fog.
Cool.
So maybe that's a hint at something. But let's start with The Elder by Trigger. I really appreciated this. The creator of this said he wanted to make a traditional kind of Jidaigeki, which is, Warring States era film about a master and an apprentice who goes somewhere and face an unknown threat. And that is just the best Jedi Master Padawan setup ever. And I just think this is great. What do you think about The Elder?
This is what I have wanted for so long out of Jedi. Jedi can be so boring when it's kind of all these grand scale politics, and I just wanted a prequel movie that was just Obi-Wan and Anakin bonding. Episode 2, splitting up Obi-Wan and Anakin drives me nuts. This is what I wanted out of this kind of Master Padawan off on an adventure. And sure, maybe they get some time separately, to deal with things, but it's mostly about their journey together in an unknown place, somewhere we haven't been before, all kind of concentrated. I loved it. I'll spoil it. This is my favorite. I wouldn't say it's objectively the best. It just really satisfied an itch I've been wanting to scratch.
Nice, yeah. And I placed this firmly in. This was inspired by the prequels. That's why we had the Padawan-Master relationship more clearly defined. And, flying around, Master, what are we doing? What if I want to be reckless? Don't be reckless, okay.
Yeah.
So I did like seeing that. And I like that he explores the Outer Rim, somewhere new, just like you said. And why? Why would you split up Anakin and Obi-Wan? Why was Obi-Wan staying on the ship while Qui-Gon went to Tatooine? They constantly had their Padawans separated from their masters and didn't explore that until the Clone Wars series. So it's here's how you do it right. A master and his Padawan go somewhere and face an unknown threat. That unknown threat being, to me, I'm we're looking at things that they're switching around. What if Yoda was just a dark side user? This ancient being that was so powerful in dark side. Very interesting antagonist. And what happens, they're investigating who is this new elder who came to the planet. The villagers don't really know. And they kind of figured out this dude might be a dark side or a Sith.
Maybe my favorite moment in the whole series is that, when the Jedi senses a disturbance in the Force, you actually feel it as a threat. The sound design across the series is really good. When they do rely on the old Star Wars library, they use it in creative ways or pick some sounds that I haven't heard reused over and over and over and over again.
True.
I hope Ben Burt gets royalties on all of that. But there's this, nice sound and kind of just the setup is there's something really bad out here. It feels heavy in a cool way, almost to the point where I'm I think this Padawan's gonna get killed, which maybe I would have preferred, but maybe they're trying to get a series out of this thing.
Man, this is the one that I want more adventures with these two, or even just that one if indeed the Padawan did die. They hint at it, they fake you out, they think the Padawan dies. I agree, probably should have, because then it's just man, how many Padawans do you get as a Jedi? This has got to be terrible.
That's what I wanted to see, his Padawan die and him kind of shrug it off as if this is another flaw of the Jedi. They just kind of go through Padawans, you know? Like, oh, this guy couldn't cut it.
Like, that's it. Yeah, I like that. It's another wrinkle. But so with this Elder, he says he's not even a Sith. He's like, the Sith were so preoccupied with trying to outsmart each other that they never could fulfill their true potential. So, like, I'm just out here being super evil. I don't even know what to call myself. And he is crazy, dude. He just like, I want to fight strong people, which is a very anime thing. But
yeah, for sure. You get the sense that maybe he's from when there was like a broad Sith school, and he's just been around for hundreds and hundreds of. Maybe he is as old as Yoda, right? Yeah, like you were saying. And
yeah, like what if Yoda
leeching off the Force?
Yeah, right. I like the fight, by the way. This is my favorite fight in the entire anthology.
Yeah, I'm really glad that the action paid off here because I was enjoying it so much. And the build-up really does. And you mentioned to me, when I rewatched it, I was like, oh yeah, we do get the rain on the lightsaber blades. Maybe not as cool as it is in Gindy's Clone Wars, where the steam hits with every little pelt. But we do get some smoking blades, yeah.
Which we didn't get in Rise of Skywalker. I rewatched the fight in the water, and they're not like steaming. I'm like, what the heck?
It was upsetting. It was upsetting.
Yeah, the use of
missed opportunity.
Lightsaber fights should only be in the rain.
I also wanted to mention, I watched all of these in English first because I couldn't find the option to watch them in Japanese. But found out that the master is played by David Harbour, which is interesting. Did not recognize his voice at all, but I loved his performance.
Really,
in this, I thought it was awesome. Yeah.
Well, this is where we're at a difference here because I wrote in my notes here worst VO of the dub.
Wow. I was immediately taken by it. I felt it was very prequel era Jedi, but in a way that I like.
I guess because it was so like Jidaigeki in its trappings, like looks like an old Japanese style when they get to the planet. Actually, right? It's like and the evil dude was a lot scarier, I think, with your traditional cheesy Japanese villain voice. But that could be just me. I didn't like David Harbour. I didn't get wisdom out of him, but maybe it's just not my flavor.
I think that's part of the performance for me was like he didn't seem
kind of out of
like he was that wise. He seemed like a Jedi of the prequel era, which are really these flawed, like, you know, like when he was like his Padawan was like, maybe it's a Sith, and he's like, oh no, the Sith have been dead for hundreds of years.
Hope not.
Yeah. But it's like, no, you're just a Jedi fool like the rest of them. Maybe you're a little bit badass, but. Yeah, I liked his voice. I don't know if I would have liked it as much if I would have been able to place a face to it going in. You know, like knowing this is David Harbour, I was just like, who is this guy who sounds vaguely like Harrison Ford as a Jedi?
Yeah, true. Just as enthusiastic about it, too.
Yeah.
One thing I did like about this, I don't know if this is something we've had in Star Wars, is a new kind of morality idea or a new theme. Not morality, but a new, let's say, thematic idea where it is, I didn't defeat that guy, time defeated him, because like he couldn't defeat old age. He was super powerful. If he was younger, he would have killed me, dude. Like, we got lucky because he was old. And he says power is impermanent, because the idea of the Sith is they want infinite, unlimited power, right? They want to live forever. They want to defeat death. And even this most powerful Sith couldn't defeat old age, but that's all they want to do. But the idea that no matter how much power you have, even as a Jedi, he says, you'll lose it. Like, even me, I'm getting older every day. Like, I am getting less powerful by the day, and that will happen to everyone. So when you get power, don't think it's going to last forever and try to use it for good, because you're not going to have it for long.
Yeah, you're getting stronger. I'm getting weaker. Doesn't even give his Padawan a shout out for throwing the lightsaber as a distraction.
Yeah.
Doesn't even say good job. Just keeps on moving.
Well, you know,
that's we didn't really win.
Yeah, you didn't hit him. I had to do the work.
And then his cool ship blows up, so there's no evidence.
And we move on
Sith ship
to the next week on Padawan and Master. And finally, I got someone who was in a lightsaber clash of sorts, turning it off, and then just applying it to the body and turning it back on. I've been waiting to see that for 20 years. So
great move.
Finally did it. Great move. Do it more often, lightsaber duelists out there. Trust me, you'll win a lot of battles that way. Anything else for the Elder before we move on to what I think is the surprise episode of this whole anthology?
No, give me more. That's all I have to say. I want more of that out of Star Wars. I want a movie that isn't even connected to the timeline. Don't give me the timeline. Just send me an isolated dual Jedi adventure on a planet and let it be a one-off. Give me that Star Wars story, Disney.
Yeah, right? In the Outer Rim, like you have it right here. Just do that.
Yeah, just do this feature length. We're good.
Yeah, or 22 minutes every week. Next episode, Lop and Ocho. Gino's studio, again, not too familiar with their work, but this is, the Empire has taken over many planets at this point. They're colonizing, they're getting slave labor. One of these slaves that looks like a bunny person, Star Wars for Furries edition, escapes and then is adopted somewhat reluctantly by, I guess, the local boss of the town or the village or the prefecture and his daughter, and grows up and lives with them. 8 years later, the Empire is trying to take over more stuff. The daughter wants to ally with them and the father does not, and there's a rift in the family. And the adopted daughter has to choose sister or father. What is my place? What is right? What is wrong? And it's an interesting little story. What do you think about Lop and Ocho?
Wasn't expecting to enjoy this one, but this one really is the one that goes against what Disney has established as Star Wars, and is really like, you know what? It's not about bloodline. Family isn't about blood. And we have, by the end of it, the father basically giving Lop his inheritance. His adopted bunny daughter is more, in line for that inheritance than the antagonist sister. And yeah, I just thought it was a good, quick plot. They got that together. It was an accomplishment to do that in under 20 minutes, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, and they do the time jump 7 years, so you're introduced to kind of the backstory of Lop and where she comes from, and then gets adopted, and then now the daughter that was young is now an older. She's a young woman, and Lop's older now too, and the father's a little bit older, and the Empire's trying to get more of a squeeze. I like that it showed this is what happens when planets are colonized by the Empire. It's like, oh, we'll give you resources, we'll help you out, but really, like, as colonizers tend to do, they have ulterior motives. They're not your best interest is generally not in their mind, but the daughter thinks it is, and so it's really about a family being torn apart because of ideology, and someone who's trapped in the middle, and that's hard. I mean, in this day and age, not to do political, but sometimes you end up in a situation where it's like there's people you care about who believe two very different things or want two very different things, and where do you stand there, right? What is that? So interesting. There's times in this, like, where I teared up in the idea that it's a bunny, but when she is fighting her sister, because her sister wants so badly to join the Empire and thinks, you don't get it, they're going to help us. And Lop just says, I will never stop fighting until I save my real sister. I was like, man, that's a real big anime moment. Like, I'll never give up.
That's a top anime moment. And it was well executed. I mean, it's been a while since Star Wars. It's been since the original trilogy when we got some like kind of broad open themes like that. And maybe what felt the most old school Star Wars to me and this whole thing is that kind of like, the dad just being like, you're my daughter. She's my daughter. Never let go of that, and like, this is what family is, even though it's not about blood or even the future of this town. Like, the idea is that like, this family is so sacred. This is what matters more than anything. And it felt very earnest in a refreshing way for me.
Yeah, it really did. And those themes really hit. And the idea that he passed down, we have a lightsaber in this. And the idea is that this has been passed down for generations. The Jedi are presumably long gone. This is just a Jedi landed on the planet, trained one of their ancestors and gifted it to him. And then now that's been the family heirloom. Their crest even looks like the Jedi logo, but kind of turned into a swan. Very interesting stuff where it's like just this ancient heirloom. And that's what Lop uses to kind of defend the father and the family. Even at one point, I think, picking up one of his blades. So she's holding the family lightsaber and the dagger at the end there. So interesting idea. Like I said, timeline to me feels like after the Jedi, maybe the Empire's just kicked too much ass for too long. or whatever. It's hard to place, but definitely another one that feels like influenced by Rogue One to me. What is this like? It doesn't feel like anything but that, like the Empire kind of taking over planets feels similar.
Yeah,
to that,
I feel like we get kind of similar plot lines in Rebels, right? Where it's like, here comes the Empire being the big bad Empire and draining resources, and the politics of like, safety. No, we got to fight. But visually too, just like great landscape, great kind of like middle ground between old Star Wars and something different. I thought we have another Star Destroyer in atmosphere, which I never like to see, but it did look
Rogue
cool.
One, yeah. There we go. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think it looked like they had a little Y-wing silhouette when they were looking at the family heirloom history and the woodblock prints. So maybe the Y-wing made it down there.
Maybe that was you. Maybe that was
me.
you.
Yeah. I lost my lightsaber. It's true. It's in a box. But this one was surprising. They had like a film grain effect on there, and
heavy film grain effect.
Yeah,
like turned up to 10.
And the sword the lightsaber was interesting because it had probably the clearest katana blade. It even had etching along the side of the family name. It's like, could you do that with a light beam? No, but does it look cool in anime? Heck yeah. So.
Yeah. Why not?
I'm with it. So. Anything else for Lop and Ocho before we get to Akakiri, the last of these episodes?
No, let's get on to the last one here.
All right, so we have Akakiri from Science Saru. Not too familiar with their work either. 100%. This is Hidden Fortress. So heavy, and I'll get into some of that reference after we explain the plot. But as I said, Akakiri means red fog. We're introduced to a samurai, a Jedi named Tsubaki. He is returned to his planet because he learned that his friend and potentially ex-lover, the princess, has been run out of her house by her aunt, who is a dark side user, and he's trying to help out. He keeps having visions of something terrible happening throughout this process, and they're being guided by two peasants to sneak through and get to where the aunt is to hopefully overthrow her and reclaim the family house. What do you think of Akakiri?
We get a cool B-wing in the opening. Like, gotta love that. Although we don't get the ejection sequence that I would have liked, like you do in Rebel Assault 2. But whatever. Just visually, this one's really cool, and also some of the most, I think, has the most interesting ending out of any of them. I really like this one too.
Yeah, this one's quite intriguing. If I can now get into the hidden fortress of it real quick, because it's pretty on its face. I mean, even the design of the princess looks a lot like the princess from Hidden Fortress, who was played by, I'm looking at my Criterion notes here, was played by Misa Uehara, and is named Misa in this. The Jedi is named Tsubaki. That character was played by Toshiro Mifune, who played Yojimbo, whose name was Tsubaki Yojimbo, Tsubaki Sanjuro. So naming the character after a different Mufine character, and even the peasants have similar names to what their actors' names were in Hidden Fortress. So the design of it, the having to smuggle a princess thing is one of the themes of Hidden Fortress 2. They're trying to sneak out the family gold from the incoming empire, right? So it's definitely the most. This is Hidden Fortress. Star Wars is Hidden Fortress. So now we're going to reverse it, right? So I found that quite interesting. The plot itself does diverge, where you have these flashbacks, and I think the Akakiri, the red fog, is this fog on his mind of this impending danger or doom. And what does that kind of turn into at the end once we get the princess where they're trying to be and confront the villain?
Yeah. Well, first of all, villain is awesome. I love this Sith aunt. I would watch a show about her, but we get that classic Anakin trying to save someone that's been lost. Yeah. Only we do get the resurrection. The princess is slain and resurrected by the power of the dark side. And the cost of it is the loss of our hero to that dark side, becoming the apprentice. And it's funny because, the last one, or I guess whichever previous episode I was talking about, where it's kind of like, no, it's not about family. Yeah, La Pinocho. It's not about bloodline. It's about family and the Force. And this is like, you know, someone fighting against fate, which is kind of the prequel trilogy is about fate, and he's fighting against fate. And at the end, he's not able to, you know, stop fate. The evil thing does happen, but I'm wondering, does that mean that you can't fight your fate, or is this just about a Sith who is so powerful, you know, that there's no overcoming it?
No, that's an interesting question, because I wonder, like, was Palpatine that powerful, or was it fate? You know, is it fate that Anakin's going to become Darth Vader? Is it fate that this guy is going to turn, right? I guess that's the duel of the fates.
Yeah.
They were dueling for Anakin's soul, essentially. If Maul wins, it's going straight to Palpatine. If Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon win, he might have a chance. But yeah, I like that we have the twins, for example, earlier on. It's like, I'm going to stop destiny. You're not going to die, sister. I will save you, sister. Again, La Pinocho, family is important. And we're going to fight against destiny. When this one, it's like, no, you cannot do that. So we have a battle between determinism and free will out here, and I don't know which side Star Wars is landing on.
Yeah. What a way to end the series. Like, for a series that is mostly, you know, kind of uplifting tales, they end on a dark note.
They do end on a dark note. Like, we open, you know, let's say with the duel of a dark side person who is trying to find some sense of redemption. And then we have a light side person trying to fight destiny and failing to do so. And even though he saves his love, she will never want to look at him again. You know what I mean? She's disgusted with what it took to bring her back. And it's like,
he's now the apprentice of her father's murderer.
Mm-hmm. Crazy.
Unforgivable.
Yeah, unforgivable. So very interesting episode thematically, interesting art style, and again, brings everything back around to the Hidden Fortress and the origins of Star Wars. So I think that was very cool that they kind of bookended it with that. With like, what if Star Wars redid Yojimbo, and then what if Star Wars redid Hidden Fortress itself? You know what I mean? Like, kind of cool.
Yeah. I almost feel like it is kind of a nice, kind of aggressive, like, stamp of like, by the way, in case you didn't know, this is what was stolen. Like, this is where Star Wars comes from. It's really based in, you know, these cultural icons from Japan
and the hero's journey. You put those two together.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I think they told McCreary, like, make Darth Vader kind of look like a samurai helmet, and that's why it's got that flaring out aspect to it. So, you know, it's cool that it comes back in a way. And I think art is rad when it's influenced by stuff. So to see all 9 of these episodes, and then the way that they've interpreted Star Wars has been quite interesting for sure. And I just like, there's a lot of poetry and they rhyme, and, you know, that's 9 out of 9, I say. We should go ahead and hit final thoughts, final questions, final kind of analysis of this anthology as a whole, Star Wars Visions. Coming up next on Normies Like Us.
I accept this responsibility.
Welcome back. That's right, it's Normies Like Us. We just finished talking all 9 of the sagas of Star Wars Visions, all 9 of the stories that they've compiled here. And I guess just right off the bat, we were talking about kind of Star Wars and where it has influenced these things. There's a couple Star Wars tropes that we get in here. Obviously, they're pretty heavy on kyber crystals. They're pretty heavy on freezing bolts. Did we get, and I have a bad feeling about this, in every episode? I think we did.
When I was going through and rewatching, I think I rewatched 4 of them, and there was 1 in each. So I think it's probably every episode.
Yeah, I would bet on that because you know, I was watching in Japanese and English, and sometimes it's on a second screen, so I might have missed, but I'm pretty sure they got one of those and everything. What do we think, looking at this zoomed out, are the big things that really these anime studios were most kind of intrigued by and exploring in the Star Wars universe, at least on this first round here?
Well, I mean, lightsabers win, right? I mean, not only do we have an episode almost purely focused on the lightsaber, we have the lightsaber being a critical element of each one, and they're in everything. There are no lightsaber free episodes here.
Yes. So sword as a important iconography thing for a culture. I understand my lightsaber may have been attractive to Japanese creative artists and stuff, right? Because obviously that's what George Lucas took.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
It's Excalibur too. I mean, it's an ancient kind of thing, and
swords are cool.
Swords are fucking cool, and the lightsaber is the coolest of them all. So obviously, and I wouldn't care if Disney was like, hey, the other 8 studios are doing lightsabers too. You want to do something different? I'm like, you're giving me a chance to do a lightsaber fight? I'm doing a lightsaber fight. Get out of here. Like, I'm not going to pass that opportunity up. I'm going to make it an umbrella too. Just deal with it.
I often am like anti-lightsaber in my Star Wars. I love if you can get a movie in without any lightsabers or a TV episode even. That's one of the things I liked about the first season of The Mandalorian a lot. But when you're talking about, anime studios, I don't begrudge, I wanted to see lightsabers in anime. And also I trust anime studios with Jedi more than I trust Disney, right? Like,
I'm with you.
I think it's a better. They did a better job here than maybe.
I think they did a better job of illustrating the many kind of sides, facets, the nuance that could exist within a Jedi/Sith Force user. Like we have the remorseful Sith. We have the Padawan master relationship. We get a lot of different shades of it here. A Padawan who lost their master and doesn't feel ready. A robot that wants to be a Jedi. They're just adding a lot to that world, like more than even the sequel trilogies did. Like more interesting ideas. Yeah,
for sure. But I took us off course. You were talking about things that they drew from in Star Wars most heavily. Lightsabers for me. Obviously, family. Was a big theme.
We get 2 about saving your siblings, and then the Margrave was the daughter of the Sabersmith's uncle or something. Like there was a relationship since childhood too. So there's like a family bond between them, even though her father was killed. So yeah, the family's a big part of it. I guess it would be the philosophical elements of Star Wars really intrigued these storytellers, because that's what they explored more. Spaceships and space battles, get that out of here, at least in these ones, right? More interested in the personal drama and sword fighting, which who can blame them?
But a lot less force usage than I would have expected.
I
expected some new big, and maybe that was one of Disney's stipulation, is like, you don't get to invent force powers. Yeah. But we did have a moment in the Bride that I forgot to mention, where her high heels turn into robot speed shoes at the end. Do you remember that?
Yeah, she does a robot.
So she uses force speed, but it's with shoes. So that was interesting.
That's right. Interesting. Is there one moment of force use that stands out to you that they did do in this?
No, aside from too many laser bolts freezing, or maybe not too many. That just happened a lot. I can't think of force usage that kind of like seemed cool to me.
I just think the one that stands out to me is in the Duel, when the actual Sith villain shows up. The Trandoshan's like, oh shit, it's a Sith. Nobody fight. Nobody get close. Get out of here. And then he just gets force choked and pulled in. It was like, oh, you poor guy. You tried to warn him. Like, he knew, like, this is not it, dude. We're out of here. But
poor guy.
Yeah, poor guy. But it's good to see the Trandoshan. Here, let's do this wrap up then before we pick maybe our favorite or least favorite. What is, in your opinion, the most anime Star Wars moment out of anime Star Wars parts 1 through 9?
Well, I think it's hard to beat what you said. Man rides X-Wing holding lightsaber fully extended into the sky, cuts Star Destroyer in half. I think that's probably the thing you're least likely to see in a Star Wars film. I'll put it that way, right?
Yeah. As far as, if we're looking at over-the-top action element, straight at it, Trigger's playbook, like, that's it, for sure. But then, I think the emotional, like, anime has a lot of themes of friendship and camaraderie, and the bonds with the people who are important to us, and what is family, and is family your blood, or is it your friends, or a lot of that's, big anime themes. Naruto boys, they know all about the shonen love, But for that, I say La Pinocho, like that whole thing. And it's a bunny. Like, that's probably the second most anime Star Wars thing. And just, I'm going to save my sister no matter what. I'll never give up. Never give up is a big Naruto thing, right?
Yeah. That's it's funny if you combine the emotionality of La Pinocho with kind of some of the Elder stylistically. I feel like you're hitting Hunter x Hunter territory pretty quick when you start slamming those things together.
Yeah, things are getting really interesting at that point for sure. All right, I guess we can go ahead and, you mentioned your favorite, but if you want to reiterate, but yeah, maybe favorite, least favorite, and an honorable mention. Let's do that.
Okay, cool. Well, I mean, I think, the Elder is my personal favorite. Gave me exactly what I wanted. My least favorite is probably The Bride, but I don't begrudge it anything. It doesn't upset me at all. It just, like you said, kind of bored me a little bit. And then honorable mention, I mean, probably 4 of them I could give honorable mentions to. But I think objectively, like, I understand why they put the Duel first. There's nothing that's hard to swallow in that one for a new viewer, and it's just really well done. So that'd be my honorable mention then.
Well, then your honorable mention would have been I think I'm going to say it's my favorite, just because of that umbrella and the way it was mirroring Revenge of the Sith so much. Sorry, talk a lot of Star Wars. You start forgetting about Star Wars. The way it had like these thematic, like dead-on notes. I'm a big Yojimbo guy. Other than that, I would say the twins. It's so cool, and the animation and the idea of like this dyad of evil, like dark side Force users, and then the other one feels the pull to the light. It's like, I like that. That was very fun. And the X-Wing thing is just like crazy. Least favorite, I don't want to say Village Bride, but it is low. Again, I don't begrudge it, but I'll say probably Tatooine Rhapsody, because it does the least to introduce new. And it doesn't mean it's bad, but you're
Gotcha.
right. It is the most kind of retreading things that we're already familiar with, as opposed to introducing new things. But
Gotcha.
Can
I ask you, do you think they're going to do you think Disney has an eye out to turn any of these into a limited series, or, are these pilot projects basically?
Well, you know what? I was thinking about the other series on Disney these days, animated, What If? And What If feels like a vehicle for them to reintroduce you to characters who are going to be important in Phase 4 movies. Like, hey, remember Ant-Man? There's another Ant-Man movie coming out. But also to, like, litmus tests, like, do they like the zombie stuff? Should we do another one? Do they like evil Doctor Strange? Should we do that? So I think, like, with that, you could see some of those characters crossing over into live action if they get a reception. With Star Wars Visions, yeah, maybe there's an incubator thing. I think it's hard for me to see them committing to an anime series or a feature. But look at the success Netflix is having with its anime series. Maybe they want to get in on that. And you have some really strong pilots. So yeah, I could totally see that. And we kind of talked about this, but if you were picking 3 of these to have a best chance at being standalone properties, which would you pick? Obviously The Elder, I think, is a good episodic format, right?
Yeah. And, I feel like the Duel is maybe a little too... I mean, really, all these kind of like story of the week things is what they'd be. It'd be The Mandalorian or the Book of Boba Fett.
True.
But I'll take more and more of it. So give me the Duel as a series. I think La Pinocho might be their best chance to bring in new fans, reach kind of a broader audience. I think regular Star Wars fans are going to watch that. I think anime fans are going to watch that. I think people that like bunnies are going to watch that. So... those might be the ones I put my money on. And they're also some of the most tame as far as playing inside the universe.
The Elder is something that would skew towards that Castlevania audience. And then you could do like a Toby Adventures, for the kids. But I think La Pinocho is right in the middle. It's got that shonen vibe, like the young adult, like, believe in yourself. You can do anything if you try. Good vibes. And then it's the only one that ended on a cliffhanger. Because the sister gets away. She flies away on an Imperial ship, and, we don't know what happened. So it feels like the dad, I think, is dead, or at least is blind now. He lost his eye. So La Pinocho is the one that when it ended, I'm like, I want to see the conclusion because I want her to get her sister back. I was so touched by that theme. So Yeah.
It felt very, I feel like that one would become a feature-length film, just in like kind of, it felt very cinematic in a specific way. I guess maybe that the oodles and oodles of film grain they threw on it didn't
the film
hurt.
grain will really do it, yeah, for sure. But who knows? I mean, I think this was a great first outing. Maybe they got the lightsabers out of their system, and there'll be some space battles in the next anthology. Because I mean, Gundam Wing's got some sick space battles, but they also still have lightsabers with a giant robot holding it. So yeah,
I would have loved for one of the lightsaber ignitions to make the beam saber ignition noise. That would have been really cool.
That would have been a nice touch. And to all you animators out there in Japan who might get to do the next Visions, make a Gundam piloted by a Jedi that has a giant lightsaber, all right? And a Sith Gundam, please. Right? That's probably the most anime Star Wars thing we'd ever see, right? Sign me up. But overall, let's get final thoughts on Star Wars Visions. You know, what do you rate it out of 10, and do you recommend it? And yeah.
I absolutely recommend it. I give it an 8.5 out of 10. Again, I don't think any of these are perfect necessarily, or you know, if you're not a Star Wars fan, it's not going to blow your mind, any of these. But this is the way that I want Disney to dish out that money, is take some Star Wars and put it out of your hands, because I miss the 90s Star Wars, where people were doing crazy things with the franchise that, you know, aren't standing in the way of the canon because they're kind of these auxiliary pieces. And I'd like more of this stuff where we don't even know who it's connected to, please. Please, please, please. I don't need to see any cameo from any major character or minor character. Just throw me out in the universe and make it seem big, please.
Yeah, like we said multiple times with The Elder, it's just out somewhere with characters we don't know. The timeline's quasi-vague, and it's fine. I think the best thing this did, and I do recommend it, I'd say, you know, 10 out of 10 at best, 6.5 out of 10 at worst, you know, depending on which episode. But it is definitely worth checking out. And because it's introducing you to new Star Wars, it's not retreading, it's not, oh, that's Bo-Katan from the Clone Wars, you know, it's all new stuff. And I think Star Wars has been hamstringed by like needing to be related to the Skywalkers or planets that they have been to, right? It's like, no, just get out there, do some different stuff, and that's what we get here. And you have 9 different flavors of it, so check it out if you like Star Wars, or if you like anime. Maybe it'll bridge the gap, you know. But yeah, it's an 8.5 for me, but an A+.
Yeah, how about that?
The grading scale is different out here. Give it an A for anime.
Absolutely.
On this. But that's pretty much it for this episode on Star Wars Visions. Let us know what you thought of the Star Wars Visions series, or, you know, other links and references and connections that these have to Star Wars that we missed out here. Before we get out of here, though, Adam, do you want to plug anything? I know BC Ness, we wish you were here. Rest of the boys, let us know where we can find your work and what you've been up to lately.
Well, you can catch me on twitch.tv/elegantweapon every Tuesday at it is 7 p.m. PST, which is 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central.
Are you gonna hit UTC? Do you know?
No, never do the Mountain Time. Never do UTC. Universal Time Code? Is that what that means?
That's what it is. Yeah.
Sorry out there. Check 7 p.m. PST. I do a show with BC Ness called The Cargo Bay. We mostly open Star Wars trading cards on that show when we can afford to. Otherwise, we're opening cards from obscure franchises or just old movies from the 80s. And we talk a lot of Star Wars there. And occasionally, you know, we also just play a movie in our Discord. No audio over the top. We just play the movie and people can chat in the chat.
Yeah.
So it's a good time over there. And also twitch.tv/BCNess, where BC is usually drawing Star Wars things early in the morning. Yeah. It's fantastic.
It's great for your morning wake up. You get to see some art being done, then you get some card packs in the evenings on Tuesdays. And if you're lucky, you can enter the giveaways like I did. And I have a card from the Cargo Bay. If you're watching on YouTube, it is a very cool Gendy Obi-Wan Kenobi fighting a droideka, and it is awesome. It's always on my desk, and shout outs to the Cargo Bay for that one.
Thank you. Well, we've upped those raffles too, because a lot of times we're opening cards with no value. So now these raffles are predetermined cards that are cool cards. Our last giveaway was some refractor Vaders from the Star Wars Galaxy set. So how about that? And we've already got Topps cards for Star Wars Visions. How about that?
No way. That's incredible.
Topps Direct did 5 sets. You're running out of time. It's probably already out of time by the time this episode comes out.
Right.
But there's a set of cards for each episode. They're expensive and not really great, but they're out there if you want.
They're out there, right? Well, very cool, very cool. Yeah, definitely check that out. And then on our end, we are Normies Like Us on the socials. You can go to our YouTube, Normies Like Us, if you want to watch the video podcast. Otherwise, please rate, like, share. You suggest to a friend, your neighbor, your mom, even if she doesn't like anime or Star Wars, just tell her you made it, and then she'll listen to it and say you did a great job. But we appreciate you always joining us on these. Joe, Jacob, Colin, they'll be back in the future. BC Ness and Adam, or Elegant, will be at the cargo bay next time around. And thank you for joining us. I guess signing off, this is Mike 2 podcast host Do. I didn't remember it.
This is Adam Antilles, the most common last name in the universe. Just your milquetoast guest here. Thanks again for having me. Love the show, and hope all your co-hosts are back soon.
Hey, appreciate that. And it's always fun to talk Star Wars with you. We do it a lot even off the pod, but now the listeners get to enjoy it. Everyone be safe out there. Be good to your neighbor. Be good to everyone around you. Don't be evil. Don't be Sith. Just live good, and power is temporary. Have a good one. Bye.